Hello, my friend. If you clicked this video, there is a very good chance that you are stressed out right now. Perhaps you're trying to navigate the uncertainties of a post-pandemic world. Maybe you're trying to find long-term strategies for the fight for justice. Maybe you've recently been diagnosed with depression, or maybe you're transitioning to a new home, a new career, new parenthood, or maybe just a new understanding of yourself. Maybe you feel like you should be doing more, or maybe you are just completely overwhelmed and burnt out and exhausted. You've tried to set goals, but it feels like just nothing is going your way. You keep underestimating or overestimating the time and energy that you need. Well, take a deep breath, my friend. I'm serious. We're gonna pause and we're just gonna take a good deep breath. Now do it, okay? It's good for you. Ready? One more time. You are going to be just fine, my friend. I got you, and we are going to take this step by step in learning how to set goals during uncertain times. Now, if you're new around here, I like to drink hot chocolate while I'm sitting on the couch here with you while we have some one-on-one conversation, which means comment down below after this video, so I'm not just talking to myself, because I like to be in conversation with you. And we get real about personal growth topics. So I'm gonna go pour my hot chocolate and then we're gonna get real. So the first thing is to cut yourself some slack. And if you are an overly ambitious recovering perfectionist like I am, then this is the most important thing that you can take from this video today. My friend, these are uncertain times. So you cannot measure yourself by the productivity levels that you had before during certain times, right? Because that's just unfair and unrealistic. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand. I've been there. It was just like a year or two ago that I was dealing with some health issues and depression, and I was trying to live as if I wasn't dealing with those things. And I was holding myself to the standard of Anna a few years ago when that has changed, when my energy levels had changed, and I was trying to act as if I had, these things that I had figured out, and very much aware of my energy levels and what I needed to do to get things done, and I had it all mastered, but then everything changed. But I tried to hold on tight to what I had figured out before, but of course it's not going to apply to now. I should have been more aware of that my energy levels would be changing every single day, and so I would need to adapt to that, right? So we can't hold ourselves to the standards of things that once worked if things have changed since then, right? You wouldn't expect an athlete with a broken leg to still compete in a race, right? Like she would need to first heal. She would need to probably skip a few races that she originally had planned for because things have changed. Now her leg is broken. Now she needs to take time to heal that broken leg. And then later on, she can assess, am I able to return to this as normal, or do I still need to pivot to something else now? Whether it's a change in health, mental or physical, or life circumstances, or global circumstances, something has changed. So our methods and perhaps even our goals themselves also need to change during this season. But don't give up on them completely. There may be seasons in your life when you do have to completely change your goals to respond to the crisis or situation at hand. But that doesn't mean you have to give up on them forever. And most often, you probably just need a pivot, or maybe just a change in pace. Don't use uncertain times or a change in routine as an excuse to quit those workouts, to quit writing that book, to quit whatever goals that you had set out to achieve. You can still make progress. Now, I know some of you are like, whoa, hold up, Anna. We are in the middle of a crisis right now. Why should I still care about these little goals that I set? Like, there's more important things. But the key here is to not put too much pressure on yourself, or to strictly hold on to old methods and old time frames. You can set looser goals until things begin to stabilize again, which we will talk about more later. So it's also important to note that there is a difference between intentionally giving yourself grace and becoming lazy. Now I'm going to stop us right here because I know that many in my audience are fellow perfectionists and overachievers, so I want to make this very clear that if you are known to err more on the side of overworking yourself, you are very likely not lazy. I know how your mind works. You think you are if you do just like a little bit less than you normally would. You know, you're just feeling extra tired that day, or maybe you've got a cold even, and you're just like, oh, I should have done more. No, my friend. So I think it's safe to say that you can take more breaks than what feels comfortable to you. I know you have a hard time taking a break, but your body needs it. And I want to make this very clear that pivoting or slowing your pace or, taking more breaks, resting more, does not make you any less of a productive person. It actually makes you a wise person. I'm going to say that again. During uncertain times, the ability to pivot, to change your pace, to rest more as your body needs it because it needs it. Let me say that again. Your body needs it. Acknowledging those things and doing those things does not make you any less productive. It makes you wise. Remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, unless if maybe you have like 30 days to live, then maybe it's a sprint. But that, gosh, I probably shouldn't have went there. But most of us here watching this video, Lord willing, you have a lot of years left, and so you have to be able to keep going. And so to do that, you have to take care of yourself. If you are someone who is strength training, right, working out your muscles, and you if you're doing it 24/7, like you're just nonstop, just doing push-ups, and like you're not giving your muscles time to heal, and then that's what makes you stronger, right? It's when you break down the muscles and then they build up from healing to get stronger. And so don't do that to yourself mentally or physically too. You gotta give yourself a break for you to recover and grow stronger. Facts. Okay, so now with all that in mind, we are going to get into the practical steps of what we can actually do to set goals during uncertain times. So, first of all, you need to zoom out, then zoom in. So, that's a really weird thing to like do and then just like, serious now. Okay, so zooming out and then zooming in. What am I talking about? I don't know. Let's look at my notes. Okay, so the first step is to zoom out to look at the world. Now, I know this may not like very directly impact you depending on why you clicked on this video. If you're dealing with something that is more of like an individual situation. But this is still important to keep on your radar because we shouldn't just be always shut off, right? But anyways, so if your country is going through some kind of crisis, this is especially when you need to be paying attention, right? When there's just a lot going on in your country and these things that are affecting you, or at least other people around you. It doesn't even have to be directly affecting you, but there's injustice or there are people hurting. You need to be paying attention to that. Don't keep your blinders up, okay? Pay attention. It may call for adapting your goals, putting them on hold, or to keep pushing forward with your goals, but you won't know until you take a step back to look at the bigger picture. And then from there, we can start to zoom in. And we're kind of going to do this in chunks, okay? Like, just picture me doing that to help you reflect on that. So we're looking at the world. Now we're going to zoom in to our community. And this is probably going to be plural, right? Communities, like our ecosystems of, we've got our friends, we've got our coworkers, we've got, maybe a church family, different organizations that we're a part of, our city, right? our city. And then you zoom in closer to what's going on with my family. And then finally you go all the way, or whoever you live with too is part of that, like people that are in your closest circle, and then all the way down to you as an individual. Are there any pressing needs that have come up? Are your goals still relevant? This one is like about reading the room, right? This whole point that I'm trying to make is about context and then reading the room, being aware. And then, do you need to adapt or change any of your original goals? So I want to take a moment now to address that zooming out can be overwhelming. It is overwhelming. I know that some of you are probably thinking about that as I was talking about it, right? Some of you who've kind of numbed yourself to the media, especially right now, at the time I'm filming this, so there's just a lot going on. And, I don't encourage that, but I want you to know that your feelings are valid. Or if you are someone who is just completely overwhelmed and you just keep breaking down crying all the time because it's so much pain, right? Those feelings are valid too. It's overwhelming. Our brains are not meant to handle 7 billion people's problems. There's a lot of good that has come out of having access to the news and social media. But it's also, think of back in the day when we had just our villages and, you just cared for the people in your village and it was great and you had this community. But now we're aware of people all around the world. And it's too big for us. Alone, right? But we're not meant to handle it alone. So it's important to keep an eye on what's going on around you. But it's also important to remember that you are not meant to solve every problem. You might not even be meant to solve any problem. Let's be honest. Your role might be to help someone else solve the problem or just have a piece in this movement. You are positioned and equipped with passions. And let me pause there for a second. Maybe because of your certain circumstances, your past experiences, maybe because of the way you grew up or things that happened in your family or your community, or maybe an experience that just opened your eyes to a certain area of suffering. Or maybe there's just something unexplainable, but you just feel that pull on your heart, that there's just this, of course you're hurting for everything, but every time you hear this certain topic, that's the one that just always pulls on you extra hard and just moves you to tears. I want you to pay attention to that. And I know it hurts, but lean into it. Pay attention. And then also you are equipped with specific skills. And I talk about that a lot here. If you're new here, that's what I do. We talk about personality and learn to understand yourself, because that's how you're going to grow and that's how you're going to reach your goals. Because how can you grow if you don't even know who you are? And how can you reach your goals if you don't even know how you work, right? And so that's what I do here. I help you guys understand yourself so then you can apply it for personal growth and to reach your goals. And so that's key here, that we each have specific strengths that we can contribute, that you should contribute. So you have these specific passions and specific skills that equip you for a very specific role. There's an area where you fit in, or a few areas that you aren't supposed to be everywhere doing all the things, right? But we need to be focusing in on a few, but the point here is to do something, right? Don't let yourself be paralyzed because there's so much, but find where your place is in all of it. On my blog and YouTube channel, I'm about to be covering Deepa Iyer's social change roles. She talks about mapping out your ecosystem for social change. Because again, it's an ecosystem, not one person by themselves, but how do we all fit together? And she defines these 10 roles. There might be more, but she defines these 10 roles, and you are not supposed to do all of them. So the point of it is to help bring your awareness to these different roles and where you fit in that ecosystem, and maybe even where you need to grow, maybe some places to like lean in a bit for some discomfort so you can grow, but then also mainly to find what your role is. And it should probably just be like 1 to 4, maybe. Like, you need to focus on where you are equipped to best serve. What is your role? So make sure to subscribe if you want to catch those videos. The next step is to reflect on your priorities. They may change or they may not change, but it's important to check back in with yourself because different seasons and situations may call for different priorities. For example, perhaps you made eating healthy and cooking from home a priority, but then came a pandemic, and so you had to cut grocery shopping in half, and you want to support local businesses so that they don't go out of business, and maybe you're just stressed all the time now, so meal prepping is like the furthest thing from your mind. You don't have to necessarily completely drop that priority, but maybe just like push it down the list a bit, or maybe like just simplify it to making more manageable goals out of it, like eating 3 meals a day because that's the goal you need to work on right now during this time, and that's okay. Or perhaps your highest priority was growing your business. It was like business, friends, everything else, but now your friend has cancer, and so you need to be there for her. And it's something that you might have like just naturally adjusted to, right? But now you're feeling guilty about it because that it was a priority this year, that you were going to grow your business and reach these goals that you had set. And so you're just like, man, like I should be doing more. But this is the key here, right? You naturally change those priorities, but you forgot to remind yourself, right? You didn't take that conscious effort to be like, oh, well, I'm not reaching these goals, but it's because I was doing this important thing. And that's what mattered most to me, to be able to be there for my friend. So it's important to review our priorities, one, so that we can consciously make those shifts to give more time to what is most important, to reassess what we should be prioritize, what we want to prioritize, right? But then also to remind ourselves of like, okay, yeah, I did naturally shift this priority because this was now important at the time. So then you can give yourself grace when you're like, when you feel like you're slacking on these other areas. That's like, well, no, you just shifted your time. It was a purposeful shift. The next thing is to get external feedback. If you are struggling to know what to do, then talk it out with a trusted friend or a trusted family member, or see a counselor or a coach to help you navigate these uncertain times. And I highly recommend seeing a counselor or coach. I've been seeing a counselor for I think like almost a year now, and especially during this time that I'm recording this, 2020, the year that everything went crazy. It's been so helpful because to be honest with you guys, like I am someone who really struggles reaching out to friends for help, and that's something that I'm working on. But that's on a regular day, right? So like especially when we're going through these like global bigger crisis things, like everybody is struggling right now. So then I especially feel weird to reach out for help, and so to have a counselor, who you're paying to have it be about you. It's been so helpful for me. It gives me permission to be able to actually talk out everything that I need to be able to work out my struggles with someone, and to navigate my own stuff during these times. Or perhaps if maybe you're not going through, maybe you seem to like kind of have your emotions managed well, and maybe you're just needing some lighter stuff of like, well, I just still don't know what to do with my business, with my job, with my life, like with my goals, what am I supposed to do? Then a coach might be good for you, just to help you again to navigate these uncertain times, to give you tools for your toolbox, to give you resources, to help you figure it out, right? When we're feeling overwhelmed, it's so helpful to get someone else's perspective. The next step is to adapt your goals based on everything that we've talked about so far, right? So based on what you've observed, by zooming out to look at the world, your community, your family, you, what's going on, based on your new or renewed priorities and based on the wise counsel that you've sought. And in that, I also want to remind you to be present. Don't be so focused on forward moving that you forget the here and now. Even if your circumstances are bad right now, there are still lessons to be learned. And so I also want you to open your eyes because there are opportunities that are unique to this season. I had to take a potty break. Okay, where were we? So next is to rethink deadlines. What do you do if you can't set deadlines because the future is uncertain? I would say to use lifelines, not deadlines. If you're under extra stress and the last thing that you need to do is set these strict deadlines. I mean, come on, the word has dead in it. That does not sound fun. Now, this is where you're going to need to assess yourself and what you think is best for you right now. Because some people will benefit from having more structured goals and end dates to things because it gives them a sense of control in the midst of chaos. But others, that's going to have the opposite effect. It's just going to freak them out more when it's just constantly not being able to be met because, again, uncertain times. And so they're needing to kind of just lay off setting end dates for a while and learn how to go with the flow. Remember that wherever you fall on that spectrum, if you're setting end dates, you need to be holding on to them with a loose grip. So it hurts less when it's ripped out of your hands once again. The goal here is actually not to get things done. The goal here is to be as healthy as you can be and doing your best with what you have right now. Not what you had before, what you have right now. The latter part is shifty, right? It's the shifty part that we need to remember so that we're not too hard on ourselves. Something that helps me is to shift my mindset around the word goal. I've seen so many people handle this word differently, both in the how tightly or not they hold on to it and just how they view it and their feelings towards it. But during uncertain times, I like to think of a goal as more of an aim rather than a very specific target. Because with a target, you are either hitting it or you're missing it, right? You're either a success or you are a failure. So instead of having this either or mindset of I'm winning or I'm losing, it's more about the progress, the journey. So it's this aim, it's this direction that you're moving in. So it's really the whole progress over perfection thing, right? It's I took steps forward, yay, or even if you're probably taking at least some steps forward, but it's not beating yourself up so much. It takes off a lot of that pressure and a lot of that guilt when you don't hit the exact goal that you have, this exact target, but you are acknowledging that I am making progress towards this, no matter how big or small. It also helps to not blind yourself from things that are still changing. Because again, during uncertain times, it's a continuous need for awareness and probably adapting along the way. It's not, okay, I'm going to set this time to reassess my goal, and then in the next few months, then I'm going to take that time and reassess my goal. No, it's adapting as it's needed. I also want to remind you that you are not alone in this. There are so many people who have gone through the same thing that you have. And, with 7 billion people in the world, I can guarantee you that there is someone right now, this very second, who is going through the exact same thing as you. So remember that you are not alone. Finally, give yourself grace. I know that I said it at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to say it again, because now that you have your newly assessed goals for the present, things can still change. Either your circumstances or your understanding of your circumstances. Goals aren't meant to be these non-negotiable killers, literally stealing days from your life. No, they're to benefit you. And sometimes you might discover later on that a goal is no longer serving you. And so it's okay to pivot or to completely scrap that goal completely and replace it with something else that's a better fit for you in this season of your life or for the long term. And that's not just during uncertain times. That is also true for regular times, whatever regular means, but you know what I mean. Don't work for your goals, make your goals work for you, because that's why we set goals in the first place. They're supposed to be for you, to benefit you. I have a blog post version of this linked down below where you can find a list of questions to help you reflect on all that we've talked about. I know sometimes when you listen to a video, you might be kind of filing it away in a more abstract way. And so to help you start actually applying this, thinking through these questions, taking some direct actionable steps, if you go to that link down below, if you scroll down, there's a purple box and it has those questions. If this video was helpful for you, make sure to give it a like and a comment because it helps this video to get seen. And again, with the comments, it helps us to have dialogue, so I'm not just talking to myself. And subscribe if you'd like more content like this. I focus on helping people understand more about who they are and how to apply that for personal growth and reaching their goals. And starting next time, we will be covering those roles for social change. It's gonna be quite a few videos in a series because we're going to be diving in deep and talking about what is our role in these bigger picture things that are going on in our world. And until next time, keep it real. But wait, one more thing. If you were eyeing my t-shirt that says buy stuff from your friends, this was made by my friend Christian, aka Sino, and he has an awesome YouTube channel called Dopamine, and I'm going to link that down below. And if you're interested in this shirt, I will link that down below for you too. Okay, that's all. Bye!